In this edition, next time you go to a game at the pit, it could have a whole new look. Brent Booher reports about the renovations that are sure to be a slam dunk.
And Kris Bowers gives us a report on a serious health concern that all females should be thinking about.
Also, hip-hop is alive and well. Reporter Jorge Hernandez lets us know why breaking hearts can be fun. I'm Danielle Bauer.
And I'm Marian Anderson. All this and more coming up on Campus Report.
At the University of New Mexico, from the KNME studios, this is Campus Report.
For just over 4 decades, the pit has been one of the most recognized buildings in the Duke City. But as it gets older, will it be able to stand the renovations of the 21st century? University regents have plans to upgrade the pit to flow with the changing times. Our Brent Booher caught up with the brains behind the project to take a look at what we can expect in the near future.
In 1966, the pit was built for just over $1 million, and now nearly 42 years later, the pit is getting a makeover for the small price of $60 million. As Senior Associate Athletic Director Tim Caff says, the changes are required to bring the pit back to speed.
That will entail really virtually reconstructing the concourse level, the main level that you enter in, with all new restrooms, concessions, traffic flow around that area. The mezzanine will be reconfigured for about 30 suites. Makeup will be 10 to 20 person suites, and a club level, a special kind of area, kind of restaurant club level in that particular area. The seating bowl, the lower seating bowl below the concourse level will be redone, but one of our real challenges and missions for the renovation is to keep the integrity of that seating bowl much the same that it has now, because we feel like that's such an icon for that arena and for kind of the overall perception of that building.
According to Cass, the project will take at least 2 years to finish, and like the renovation and expansion of University Stadium, the facility will remain open for the duration of the project.
It'll start someplace either this summer or all the way up to the end of next basketball season. The building will try to keep in operation throughout the project, and so we're trying to get those ducks in a row as we speak to make sure that we can logically progress kind of through the construction where we can keep the building in operation.
Despite the numerous improvements to the arena, one modification will not be increased: the seating capacity.
We'll probably lose 700 to 800 seats, and for two main reasons. One is the creation of the suites in the club level. We'll lose two rows at the mezzanine level, and so we'll lose those seats, and then we have to, the building's 41 years old, we'll have to really address some ADA issues, and we may lose a row at the top of the seating bowl to address those issues. So at the end of the day, that could total as many as 700 to 800 seats.
Cass also assured that the project will not have any impact on tuition rates or the allocation of free tickets to the student body, and stated the only impact the arena renovations will bring are positive.
Yeah, I think it'll affect everybody. You know, it's obviously a complete renovation, and so just the building itself and the newness of the building is going to affect anybody that's having an event there. The site development, the parking lots, landscaping around it, the fan amenities outside and inside are going to affect everybody. So I think from whether it's another event, a state high school tournament, the powwow, to our basketball season, our goal though is to make it the best basketball arena in the country. And
for Campus Reports, I am Brent Booher.
And in the studio with us today is Brent. Thanks for being with us.
Not a problem.
So $60 million, that's a huge chunk of money. Where's this money coming from?
You know, that's a great question. In the process of researching for this story, before I got to speak to Mr. Cass, you know, I came across an Albuquerque Tribune article that actually said that only $25 million was approved. And, you know, we kind of talked about it off topic and everything. It's basically just a large bond. It's a large sum. And what happened is the $60 million is just to set aside enough money so that way they don't have to go looking for more money. But it's not necessarily $60 million, but it could be, if that helps.
Right, it makes sense. So how realistic was Tim Cass's statement about the pit being the best arena in the U.S. after this renovation is over?
Yeah, that was an interesting point. It's hard to say. I don't know if it's the best. I think traditionally you're looking at just such a historic venue, and it's such a great place to catch a game that for college basketball, yeah, it could be definitely up there. Mm-hmm. As far as the best, it's kind of hard to say one way or the other, but my personal bias, yeah, I think it can be.
Great, that's awesome. Do you think, as far as recruiting goes, do you think it'll attract new recruits to UNM or want people to come to UNM?
Most definitely. I think you're starting to see the return of Lobo basketball with Coach Alford, and the renovations to bring this arena into the 21st century. I think it's going to definitely have an impact on recruiting. That's
awesome. And is this going to bring March Madness back?
I think so. I think we might see a couple conference tournaments out here. I think we'll definitely see the big dance out here for a couple years, and
great.
Should be fun.
Awesome. Thank you, Brent. Thanks for being with us.
College students are especially susceptible to sickness with long days, lack of sleep, and high stress levels many of us have. Having a cold or a stomach flu is bad enough, but it's even more difficult to think about dealing with something worse like STDs or cancer. Reporter Kris Bowers got the facts on an STD that can cause cancer and what's being done to fight it.
80% of U.S. adults have it. The problem? Most don't even know what it is. HPV, also known as the human papillomavirus, is the most common STD in the country. It's also one of the least known, and most adults have no idea what it actually does.
I know that it's called the human papillomavirus, but I don't know much about it.
No, I have no idea what it affects. I think it just affects your reproductive system, but I actually don't know that much about it.
6.2 million people are infected with HPV every year. No clinical studies show that the virus has any harmful effects on men, but it's the #1 cause of cervical cancer in women. Certified nurse practitioner Tawnya Ingimundson explains what HPV really is and why women should be extra cautious.
HPV stands for human papillomavirus. It's a group of over 100 viruses. About 30 of them are contracted sexually, and they include viruses which may cause cervical cancer, genital warts. The strain that causes cervical cancer, there are usually no symptoms. That's why it's very important for women to go in and have their annual exams and pap smear. Most physicians now include an HPV screening when they do a pap smear.
The virus infects the cervix, which in turn causes abnormal cells to form, resulting in lesions that can lead to cancer if not properly cared for. But in most cases, no symptoms are present, surprising UNM students Celina Rosales and Sarah Flores.
I don't know what symptoms it has. No, I don't.
Like I said, I know that it affects something with the cervix, but in terms of symptoms about knowing if you have it or not, I don't know anything about that.
With the vast majority of women undereducated about HPV, the thought that it can lead to cancer is scary, but only 2 out of the over 100 strains can actually lead to it, strains 16 and 18. And Ingimundson assures that having the virus is not a one-way ticket to cancer.
Not all HPV leads to cancer. Like I said, there are many different strains out there. There are 2 particular strains that are related to cervical cancer. And just because you have HPV virus certainly doesn't mean that you're going to have cervical cancer.
There's no cure for HPV once it's contracted, but studies show that most women clear the virus within 2 years. And now there's a new vaccine called Gardasil that prevents HPV altogether.
Women can protect themselves by getting the Gardasil vaccine. It's available and approved by the FDA for females ages 9 to 26. It's a 3-shot series vaccine. You can get it either with your primary care or your gynecologist. A very simple vaccine, highly recommended.
Numerous studies have shown that Gardasil is 100% effective against cervical cancer, 95% effective against cervical dysplasia, and 99% effective against genital warts, the only strain of HPV with symptoms. And with the vaccine out there, women are becoming more aware of HPV through commercials and advertisements of the drug. Also from the drug's catchphrase, "You could be one less." One less life affected with cervical cancer, that is. UNM senior Danielle Bauer says the catchphrase is a vital key in the movement in educating women.
Well, I think what these One Less commercials do is that they promote awareness. They don't necessarily promote knowledge or understanding of what the statistics are, what the symptoms are, and what the causes are, all of these things, what your chances of getting this are. Awareness is always one of the first steps in anything. And you want your general public to know what's going on so that they can then educate themselves.
The vaccine won't cure women who have already contracted the virus, but it can prevent future infection. And abstinence is the only surefire way to protect yourself from HPV and other STDs. But the Gardasil vaccine is so effective that most professional healthcare providers are praising it.
The clinical records and trials that we have show that it's nearly 100% effective in protecting against cervical cancer. Pretty amazing.
For Campus Report, I'm Kris Bowers.
And in the studio with us is Kris Bowers. Kris, thanks for being with us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So how common is HPV?
HPV, it's actually really common. There's between 80 to 85% of the entire U.S. adult population has contracted HPV, excuse me.
Oh wow, it's a lot. Can you explain a little bit more about what HPV is and how you get it?
Yeah, and like in the package, HPV is an STD, so it's sexually transmitted. There's about 30 strains that are sexually transmitted, but there are other strains that you can get that aren't. But so far in men, there's not a whole lot that's been tested that says it does any harm, except for, of course, the only HPV with symptoms, which is genital warts. But in women, it's the #1 cause of cervical cancer. So it's something to definitely be concerned about.
Yes, sounds like it. What are the chances of getting cancer from HPV?
Getting cancer from HPV is actually, you have a really slim chance of that happening. There's over 100 strains of HPV, and there's only 2 strains, 16 and 18, that can actually lead to cancer. And even if a woman has one of these 2 strains, that still doesn't mean that you can lead to cancer. It can lead to cancer. The main thing is women who don't go in for their annual exams. They've had HPV and they don't know that they have it, so they let it sit for 5 or 6 years, and it keeps advancing, and then that's when it can turn into irregular cells that turn into cancer.
Okay, and how would someone prevent something like this from happening? I mean, it's such a big concern.
It is. Actually, there's a new drug out on the market. It's only been out for just a couple of years. It's called Gardasil. This isn't a cure for HPV. It's HPV prevention. I know doctors are striving to get young girls, as young as 9, to get this Gardasil vaccine, just so they have no chances of getting HPV.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Kris.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Most people shy away from heartbreak, but plenty of locals and UNM students were happy to go on this Breakin'Hearts show in the sub. The event celebrates and explores the hip-hop culture with performances and discussions. Reporter Jorge Hernandez was on the scene to catch up all the beats.
People have tried to say that hip-hop is dead, but hip-hop is what's in people's hearts.
Breakin'Hearts is an annual event that brings together the 4 elements of hip-hop to one venue: breakdancing, DJing, MCing, and graffiti art. The event also holds workshops that educate both adamants of hip-hop and those unfamiliar with issues that are affecting the culture. Topics range from hip-hop and yoga, politics, and even graffiti law. Robert Biko Baker works for the League of Young Voters. This year, he's volunteering at Breakin'Hearts by teaching a class that addresses hip-hop and its effect on politics.
Through our communities and through our connections and through our peer groups, we have power, you know what I'm saying? And if we, just let candidates talk for us, they're not going to change anything that we're doing. So we have to go out and push our friends to make change in our communities.
Christopher Buddhasack Marcel instructs the yoga hip-hop class where students learn how to incorporate both activities into their lives.
I believe that all cultures and all play with energy like dance and art and music is all really stemming from the same source. And so technically, yoga is just a different word for hip-hop.
Cyrus Gould is the man responsible for Breakin'Hearts. He believes that despite the commercialization of hip-hop, shows like this one help recognize and pay homage to the origins of the culture.
I think mainstream hip-hop is very profitable, and that's one of the main drives is profit. Whereas I think one of the main motives and intentions of this show and shows like it from the get-go is love of hip-hop and making sure that it's a fun, safe event.
During the main part of the exhibition, vendors set up booths where they sell items such as t-shirts, art pieces, and even vintage records. A b-boy and beat girl, or break boy and break girl battle also takes place, with prize money ranging from $1,000 to $2,000. But here, winning definitely isn't everything. Everyone just hopes that this event serves as a platform for future hip-hoppers to continue the art. Reporting from the University of New Mexico, for Campus Reports, I'm Jorge Hernandez.
That was more inspiring than heartbreaking. Do you think we can move like that?
Yes, I do, and I'm about to bust out my boombox. But it really does give you a new appreciation for hip-hop.
Thanks for watching today's show. I'm Danielle Bauer.
And I'm Marian Anderson. We'll see you next time.